Well, it's good to be back in a game week. We had a very good practice. The team came back, gave them Friday and Saturday off. They came back last night in great spirits, ready to get back at the task at hand. But more than anything, hopefully what we've been stressing is, it's important that we have a passion to play. It's more important that we have a passion to prepare and to remember the little things that have gotten us on the little mini run that we're on right now. And it's about rediscovering those things now in a game week so we can be the best version of ourselves Saturday evening in Little Havana, which is pretty exciting to see the Canes go back to the heart of Miami. Be a great occasion for our entire football team, certainly for our fan base. I know it will be for me personally. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just, I can only imagine myself, but everybody else as they exit off whatever way you get there, the Dolphin Expressway or 95, or maybe you just take all the back roads through the city, whatever way Waze sends you. They didn't have Waze back then, but probably a lot better now that they have it. But it'll be fun to turn off the Dolphin, head towards, that area, Poland, and play a football game. We expect a great atmosphere, and we're very excited to be a part of this game Saturday night. So with that, open up for questions.
Manny, obviously things are trending in the right direction. There's a lot to be encouraged about the way you guys have played. But when you found out Saturday about you being eliminated from the Coastal, did 4th and 17, did missed field goals go through your mind at all? Like, damn it, what could have been? And do you think the season can still be a success in your eyes without winning the Coastal?
Well, let's unpack that a couple different ways. It doesn't do us any good to think of what could have been. And you can make a further argument that we wouldn't be who we are without those moments happening. So maybe we're thankful for those things. It hurt at the time, but I don't know that we would have faced the hard truths of what had to get right in this program. Had we batted down a ball on 4th and 17, or had we made a field goal? So I think that's it was a great teacher to our football team about the little things that win and the accountability that wins. So we don't spend a lot of time looking back. Now, in terms of looking forward, which really, staying in the present right now, which is really the only thing that we can control, when we have done that, we've been pretty good. So you don't really want to spend a lot of time looking back. At the same time, you don't want to spend time looking forward, and it's the wrong time right now to try and define what is. To me, a season is, you want a team to play as good as it can play, right? That to me is the goal. Like, how good can this team be? And right now, we know we've got 3 opportunities left to get the best version of this team. I think the team is improving, like you say, and that's exciting to watch. We have a lot of individuals that are improving, and we're coming together. But our best game is still out there. And I think as a coach, that's what you're hunting.
Kind of along the coastal lines, too, Manny. If Virginia finishes this off, it'll be 7 different schools, 7 champions in 7 years in the coastal. Why is the Coastal the way it is? And kind of the second part of that, there's good football in the Coastal. I mean, there is. People can say otherwise, but does it grate on you a little bit when everybody's something in 3, something in 4, something in 2, whatever it is in the division? It is kind of easy to pick on the Coastal as a subpar division. How much does that grate, do you think, on the collective within the division?
Well, I think it's up to us. As the teams in the division to do something about it. The issue is everybody's trying to do something about it, which makes it highly competitive. The ACC Coastal is what it is because of the defenses in this league. It's a defensive league. And if everybody can play defense, then everybody can compete. Bronco Mendenhall is a great defensive coach. Pat Narduzzi is a great defensive coach. Georgia Tech now has a defensive coordinator as their head coach. And that's just the beginning of it. And there's other teams out there. I mean, but that's the whole point. So anytime you've got teams that are going to focus on playing great defense, what are the games going to be? They're going to be competitive, right? And so that's a game where anybody can beat anybody because they're going to be low-scoring games. They're going to come down to one possession here and there. So, obviously Bud Foster at Virginia Tech has been a legend forever. So there's great defensive coaches in this division, and I think that's why it's always a difficult road to get through.
Hey, Coach. We've been getting some questions about Scott Patchen and his status. Is there a chance he can apply for an extra year or medical redshirt, anything like that?
Yeah, that's correct. Scott has the potential to have 1 more year of eligibility.
And are you optimistic that he'll get it, or to be determined?
No, it seems like he would have a good case for getting it. So you can never, be sure of anything. But
Hey, Manny, just wondering, as a Miami kid, as someone who grew up here, just the memories that'll conjure up as you play a game on the grounds of the Orange Bowl or coach a game on the grounds of the Orange Bowl. Just what are your fondest memories of being in that building growing up?
Gosh, there's so many. Dolphins and the Canes, right? I was there for the A.J. Dewey game in '83. The 14-0 game. You can think of all the great Miami Notre Dame 3rd and 43 nights, the Miami Florida State, 31-0. I mean, there's so many Orange Bowl national championships. Michael Jackson Thriller, can't leave that out, So, come on, all right. But the stadium's not there anymore. Obviously, the neighborhood is, and I think that's actually the cooler part. I think it's just the trip in. I think it's being in the area, being in Little Havana, which will be, I think they'll be nostalgic for anybody who was there and understands it at the time. It'll be great to be back.
Just an update on Brevin Jordan. How's he doing? I know you're optimistic that he was going to be ready.
Yeah, he did more. And actually, first of all, congrats to Brevin. He was, I think, a semifinalist for the Mackey Award for the top tight end, which is certainly well-deserved. I don't know who the other guys are, but they've got their work cut out for him. Brevin did more last night than he's done last week. I think the bye week came at a great time for him, so I'm still optimistic that he'll be good to go. But we're going to continue to progress him as the week goes on.
Manny, I'm wondering what the benefits are for UM to play FIU, other than maybe saving money on expenses and not having to travel as far. What are some of the good things you can get out of it?
Well, the one thing I know is that anytime schools from in this state play each other, it's a showcase for high school football in this state, and it should be. So whether that was us in Florida, us in FSU, us in FIU, we played FAU a couple years ago. I think it's just important that it's something that the high school coaches can sit there and they can watch guys on both teams. The families, a lot of the guys know each other. I just think it's good. I think, high school football in the state is so underappreciated with the level of coaching that's there and the skill and the talent level that's there. So anything we can do to promote football in the state's a good thing. Do you have to in any way tell your kids to maybe the emotions again of playing a lot of friends? And I know the brawl is in the past and all that, but still just the idea of these guys knowing each other, and especially FIU wanting it so bad, wanting to prove themselves. Well, I hope our guys want it so bad too. I'll say this: our guys have done a terrific job in the opening game against Florida. We all know each other well. That was a very emotional environment. Going to Florida State, where they had kind of had a reputation for being a little chirpy before the game, and our guys, to their credit, have been businesslike. They've been professionals. Any situation we've been in, they've handled themselves very well. So, to me, the credit goes to them for knowing how to handle themselves in those situations.
Manny, it's because you guys are scheduled out so far, it seems like it will be the last time you guys play for at least several years, I would think. Would you like to have seen this become more of a regular thing? I mean, we understand why it wasn't for a while, but would you like to see it be an every every few year thing if possible?
It's like you said, I don't even know if it is possible. I mean, I like playing people in the state, but it is what it is, I mean, I know we're booked out until like 2048 or something like that. So you can ask me that question again around 2047. We'll see.
Neither of you at that point. To sort of follow up on that, I cringe at this because you can always find a fan to say something one way or another, but there is a group of fans, a number of them, that aren't looking forward to Saturday because they don't want to go back to that site. That it's hard, or they want it to be difficult, or whatever. Other than the sentimentality of it's where the Orange Bowl used to stand, should it mean something to fans? I mean, do you understand why it might be hard for some people?
And that's why, and you can't tell someone how to feel, right? Because people are going to feel the way that they feel. I don't know if anybody can feel stronger about it than I do. But time moves on, the Yankees playing a new stadium, the old Boston Garden isn't there anymore. You know what I mean? It's just that's how it goes. I think we have as fine of a stadium as anyone in college football right now with what they've done to Hard Rock Stadium. And what we found is when the Canes are rolling and the city, does what it does on a Saturday night, we can play on Southwest 8th Street, in the intersection, and it's going to be a home field advantage. So, my job is to make sure the team warrants the type of big time atmosphere that whether that was back in the OB or whether it's at Hard Rock Stadium, it can happen in this town. So, like I said, it's hard to tell someone not to feel a certain way. You know, we all have different emotions on that era.
Manny, I know Tate's been back working at quarterback. Do you and he have a long-term plan about whether the goal is to go back to receiver this offseason to make himself more polished or to stay at quarterback long-term?
His plan and our plan for him is to play quarterback. So, yeah.
Was receiver something which you all naturally concluded after a few weeks was not the ideal fit? How did
It was really letting him dictate, you know, because receiver was his idea at the beginning. That was not something we pushed on to him. And going to quarterback was, you know, is what he felt like he wanted to transition back to. And we were fine with that too.
Hey, Manny, got a two-part question.
Okay.
You know, you just mentioned the Notre Dame game from a couple years ago and what that meant to the program and the city and everything. Would you like to see the schedule get a little tougher than maybe it is this year and next year in terms of marquee games? Because you haven't really had a marquee game this year that you could bring recruits into and help you build towards getting better. And then also just a summation of where recruiting is right now with about a month left to signing day. You've had the usual comings and goings and a lot of kids on campus and things like that.
Yeah.
So just those two things.
The starting point of the schedule is, well, we did play Florida this year, right? No, I know, but that's part of, you know, there's certain things you can control and can't control. And I think starting next year, we're home and home now with a major Power 5 team through as long as we were scheduled out. You know, I think next year is Michigan State. I know we go play Alabama in 2 years in Atlanta. So I think going forward, it's going to be, you know, the crossover game this year was Louisville, you know, and I think, you know, 3 or 4 years ago when Lamar Jackson's up there running around, you know, that could have been a big draw type game. So the schedule is going to take care of itself. Those things are happening. Again, to me, to make sure is that the top 25 team that shows up every week is wearing orange and white, right? The Miami Hurricanes are the.
So I mean, it's like, you know, because the Coastal is kind of the way the Coastal is, you don't get the marquee, a lot of those marquee games like other programs get that you have to compete against for top shelf recruits. And, you know, would you like to see more of like, you know.
But I guess, right. No, I understand your question, but I guess my point is it's happening, right? Those games are all scheduled. Those are all coming. But now let's go play the nostalgia game. Let's go think back in the day when either Miami was in the Big East or Miami was an independent team, right? And these things were all just kind of happening. I'm with you on your point in terms of recruits. What's changed is the unofficial visit. That's what's changed. What's changed is that seniors and juniors on their dime that are making it to all these games. That's not what happened when Miami was recruiting in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. That's the biggest difference in what's happened in recruiting. Those games were always taking place in those cities. The recruits didn't have access to those games like they do now. So that's kind of what's changed. And then to your point, just on recruiting, as I've mentioned over and over again, we're super pleased in our recruiting class right now. As always, there's going to be some shuffling around, some initiated by, you know, both sides, let's just say, and we're very excited about where it's going. We've got, you know, we had a great little group of guys on our campus last night, and the arrow is pointing up. So again, I can't be more pleased at how our recruiting is going, and what I like about it is, again, we have a lot of solid guys in this class. What we have shown, what the team on campus has shown this year, the guys that bleed orange and green, that care about Miami, and that will work and have a passion for this game, end up making plays and being great Miami Hurricanes. They just do. And so, to me, we feel like we have a lot of those type guys in this class.
I don't want to ask you about your starters for Saturday night, but assuming that you start Shaq under making a bit of an assumption.
He's got to earn in practice. You know, nothing's given.
I understand.
There's a good
I understand.
chance.
He'll tie William Joseph's record of 50 consecutive starts as a Cane.
Wow.
He doesn't miss a play. Man, forget missing games. This kid doesn't miss plays. What is it? I mean, you have to be fortunate, obviously, in this game to play that many, but I'm sure he's played through some things because you play that position, you're going to get dinged. What can you say sort of about his durability? And I'm sure it's a pride issue for him that he doesn't want to take plays off.
He doesn't want to come out of the game. His conditioning level right now is as good as any player I've ever seen, certainly at the linebacker position. You know, we wear these monitors. You can sort of track the distance they cover. You can track the work rate that they do during the game. And the game that really stands out to me is Pitt. I mean, I could pick any, but in the Pitt game, there were a couple plays where they broke out a run on the QB screen. I mean, I'm talking about Shaq made 50-yard all-out sprints to try to save a touchdown or whatever, and then the next play is still playing at a high level. I mean, his ability to empty the tank and then somehow, find the wherewithal and the energy to reload it for the next play and to continue to play at a high level it's really extraordinary. His will right now, and that's what I say, in the last month, the guy's just gone into the stratosphere in terms of linebacker play, and his will right now to be great is when coaches throw around words like competitive excellence, everybody kind of use that, sounds good. He is right now the epitome of what competitive excellence means.
It's a question better served to him, but the fact that his name is going to be forever and ever in your record book, atop at least one list and probably a few others too. What do you think that means to him?
I think it's very important to him. We said all along that Shaq, it's very important to him to get Miami to the level that he thinks it has. He is a true Cane and bleeds orange and green, like I mentioned. But he also wants to leave a legacy. He wants to be a guy that, when we're recruiting young linebackers 4 years from now, that they want to look up to Shaq Quarterman. And so the fact that he can put his name on the wall with a record like that, that means a lot to him.
Manny, since mid-August, you've had 5 players leave who want more playing time. It's not the least bit uncommon. That's the way college football is today. A couple of those might not have played very much long-term. A couple might have. Do you ever believe that if you get wind of a player thinking of transferring, that you should tell your assistants to play the guy a little bit more to keep from transferring, or would that go against everything you stand for? And should there be a cooling-off period from the time a player tells his coach, I want to go into the portal, to the time that he's actually allowed to be in the portal? Should colleges have that advantage of having a couple of weeks just to let the player mull it and the coach and the player discuss it?
Right. There actually is a 48-hour period where the college does have, can hold the player before they submit his name into the portal. This is new territory for all of us, and the difference is not transferring. Transferring is not new. The portal is just a fancy name. Kids have transferred forever and ever. I think that the unique thing all around college football now is that it's happening during the season, right? When there's really nowhere you can go. All these kids still have to finish out the semester on campus where they're at. They're basically just not coming into the football building anymore. And like you said, this is happening at every program all around the country. If you went in front of your football team and said, we're going to play Johnny, even though Johnny has not warranted playing time, you have a chance to lose credibility as a coach, because the locker room always knows. The locker room knows who should play. The locker room knows. The players, you can't fool the players. A player can try to fool a coach every now and then to get away with it, but they can never fool the players. So, I think that's all part of it. Now, the issue, again, part of this is that, it takes a lot of persistence. It takes a lot of hard work. We have so many Miami Hurricanes that have come through here, former players, and told our guys, I had to wait this long. I was behind this guy. I never thought I'd play. I was going to transfer. I stuck it out, da-da-da-da. And those stories sometimes sound like old folklore, back in my day, that type of stuff, but it's still true. It's still true. And it's still fun to see guys that have, again, we can look at examples on our football team. I know I've sung his praises all year, but a guy like Rob Knowles, who right now is playing as good as any safety we have on our team, had every reason to leave. He stuck it out. He worked hard, and he's turned himself into the best version of himself, which is pretty awesome. All right, thank you all.